Welcome back, thanks for stopping by, and no, your settings are not wonky, it's just the ace cameraman that I am. My camera was showing me who was boss on this build. I assure you normal viewing will resume shortly. I just wanted you to see what challenge I had set myself for this week's build. Okay, so I picked up a random toy kitchen set from the Euro store and set myself a challenge of trying to make a spaceship out of the entire contents of this package. Now I set myself some rules and I could add any item I wanted, but the build had to include the entirety, the entire contents of the package. So this tray, which I presume was a chopping board, was the obvious choice as the base for everything else that would sit on it, and then this cheese grater thing looked like an engine to me, so I cut that down and stuck it onto the tray. The bottle needed more texture, so I added some cut down Q-tips to make it look like more of an engine. I also added some cable which was left over from previous build, just to give it a little bit more texture. And with my camera fully cooperating with me now, I stuck the bottle onto the back of the cheese grater, and this pipey bit is something that I built using acrylic from a mould. Stuck that on, and that completed what I thought was the engine bit. With my camera fully cooperating with me again, it was off to the races with my egg and spoon. Sorry about the pun. To be honest though, this bit got me perplexed for quite some time as in what to do with it. But like any good M. Night Shyamalan film where the ending is always a cop-out, I copped out on this one, stuck it to the spatula and then stuck it underneath the spaceship and pretended it was a thruster. And then to make both parts fit, I probably used more baking powder than Tony Montana consumed cocaine in the entire Scarface film just to try and make it stick. One said spatula with the egg was stuck under the base. I then needed a counter weight for the other side, and I used one of the lids, which I could only presume was one of the salt and or pepper pots that was in the little kitchen set. Then the yellow bottle was the next problem, until I just went free-flowing plastic jazz on it and cut it into two and stuck it onto the side. As you can see, I'm just trying to work out where it's gonna go. I was thinking about using one of these tongs just to give it a base, but I just decided, no, stick it on the side. It fitted better on the side than anywhere else, and that's where it was. Then I quickly realised that I'd shot myself in the foot because I still had another piece of the bottle, and I just basically, as you can see, stuck it onto that and called it good on that bit. Taking out all my rage, the spatula got butchered next into pieces which I stuck onto the base to make a platform. Then the fate of what I can only describe as the salt and pepper pots were determined. I stuck them together, making a barrel, put the ring off the lid onto it for a bit of spiciness. The red little bit was from the actual tray, which I just stuck in the middle, just to give the barrel a little bit more of a look to it. And then the other half of the lid I just stuck onto the back of that and called that one good. Then I found a little bit of the last random piece of plastic from the lid, and I just stuck that onto the barrel again just to give it some more texture, and called the barrel done and dusted. Then the two tongue leftovers became some kind of paddles for underneath the ship, which after copious amounts of glue and baking powder, they finally stayed in place. I chopped up one of the handles while I was still feeling frisky and carefree and stuck them down randomly along the ship. And my next problem was these two black bits of random plastic that came from the tongs, so I just stuck them together and then stuck them onto the side of the ship, because where else was it going to go? I'd known for some time that the lid and sausage thing was going to create a problem, but I threw caution to the wind and stuck them on thinking they might look like a tank. And it was right around here that one of my tongs fell off from underneath. So with excessive amounts of glue, baking powder and activator, I finally got it to stick. So at this point, with the barrel glued onto the ship, I was feeling pretty confident that by some miracle it had taken the shape of a spaceship. Now, not something you'd necessarily see in a Star Wars movie, more a bad B movie, or perhaps even a Red Dwarf episode. And with the ending in sight and little pieces left, I just began desperately trying to find where I could stick these pieces, hoping it wouldn't be too obvious that I indeed did not have a plan before I started out with this build. I chopped down the last of the plastic grater, used them as some sort of piping, and then stuck them on as well, just to give it a bit more sort of a look of a kind of like a transporter sort of spaceship. I just realised I've been calling this bit a cheese grater when actually it was an egg slicer. So the said egg slicer, the last bits I used as greebles, just to cover up some gaps and to make things a little bit more not sort of flat and boring. So I just cut some stuff up, put some on the tongs, and then the last bit was going to go on the barrel, and then the lid and the remaining bits of the kitchen set was going to be another cop out, and I'd just stick them on the underside of the spaceship. Then I had a stroke of genius. I'd seen these in a shop. They're basically scrunchies, but they're spirally scrunchies for ladies' hairs, and thought they would make excellent pipage. So because every build leads you onto something else and you want to try out different things, I thought I'd try a couple of these onto this one and just randomly stuck them into bits and pieces on the build. Once that was done, primed it with a rattle can of black, and to my amazement, once everything was the same colour, it actually looked a bit like a spaceship. And as you can see now, I'm just going to paint some lines on, because every good B-movie spaceship always has some sort of lines on, and I've just masked things off and just made some random lines. And then instead of using blue like I seem to be using for an awful lot of the other builds, I used an off red more like a rouge red for the entire build. Once all the paintwork was dry, I then decided to try this technique which I'd seen in a few of the videos. I've forgotten which one it was, which crafter it was. Leave a comment if it was you, I do apologise. But I tried this just to give it some sort of weathering effect. It worked okay, but I did my usual and got my silver Sharpie out later on just to highlight some of the nicks and scratches. But with the toothpaste effect, yeah, it does actually work, and it takes the top layer of stuff off, revealing the underneath, which is the effect that you want. So as a challenge to myself, I think I was pretty successful on the build, and it does look like a spaceship. I'm not going to say it's the world's greatest spaceship, but you can make things out of nothing really. And so yeah, once everything's painted, it's then time for the glamour shots. So as always, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, leave a comment, like the video, share it, even perhaps subscribe, it'll help the channel out. And until next time, keep scratching that build, and here come the glamour shots. Why don't you behave, camera?